Hey guys, it's Michelle, and I'm here for a training that I didn't really expect to offer, but I wanted to come into our members Facebook group and have a vulnerable and powerful training around a sensitive issue, which is about when your partner, your husband, doesn't really support, maybe doesn't really understand, or even openly resents your business. And so that's what we're here talking about today. And I have heard this from a lot of people, members included, and also from some people who are outside of Women Who Wow. And I'm very excited to just have this, although I've got to be honest with you, this training is very vulnerable for me. And so I was a little bit more nervous about it than most other trainings. And so I wanted to go over a couple things before. And first of all, if you are in Women Who Wow, I'm so thankful for you. We've gotten a lot of new members lately, so I'm welcome here. If you have been, or you're watching this video someplace else, come over and hang out with us at PlanetWOW.club. We are an exclusive alliance of seriously driven women entrepreneurs, and we're having some fun. We're loyal, we're driven, we are successful, and we'd love to have you join us. But before I move even a step into this training about what to do when your husband isn't supportive of your business, I do not want this to be a man bashing kind of training. Certainly not. If you're new to me, I love my mister, absolutely, and without reservation. And it's also not meant to be speaking to women who are married to men who are controlling, who are emotionally or verbally abusive, who are not supportive in any other way of who you are or your business, right? So who I'm really talking to are women who are in the same boat that I was in for many, many years, which is I'm married to a very good man who just didn't understand business and really resented my business. Certainly wasn't supportive like he is right now. So if there's abuse issues, if there's controlling issues, if you're married to a jerk, right? Like he's just not, he's not supporting you no matter what you're doing. This training's not for you. I also am not talking to the woman whose husband is, whose business is husband funded, right? So like if he's funding your business every month, putting in money every month, and I say this because I talked with someone about this. Yeah, Leanne, I want to talk about that. Like, so my husband is a public school teacher. Before I go on, I should probably tell you a little bit about my husband. So he's a public school teacher. He's an amazing employee for all of the reasons that I'm a horrible employee, right? He takes so much pride in his work, and he like shows up on time, and he doesn't push boundaries, and he's not a risk taker. And so a lot of what I am was kind of a hard thing for him to feel safe supporting, I guess. And so I totally get that sentiment. And Leanne, I appreciate you being here all the way from Canada. So glad to have you on the live stream. But if you're this training is not for you if you're in an abusive relationship, or if he's just a plain old jerk. It's also not for you if he has been generously funding your business for month after month after month after month after month, and he's like getting sick of it, right? It's the money that he's working for, and he's pushing it into your business, and you keep taking and not producing a return. And the reason I say this is I spoke with someone about this kind of issue. I don't even remember, maybe 3 years ago. And she came to me with this problem, and about her husband not supporting her business. And I'm thinking, well, I can help you with that, But the more I pushed, it had been like 2.5 years. Every month he's putting money into her business. Every month she's losing money. And, she's traveling a lot with the business. And he's kind of thinking like, this is a really expensive hobby. And in that case, I'm not talking to women who are husband funded and essentially ungrateful and whiny when he's like, hey, is this ever going to be an actual business producing a return? Even the IRS is starting to, get on top of small businesses who are claiming losses year after year, because what they're starting to call them is hobby losses, and we can't deduct money for losses in a hobby. And the very definition of a business is that we are turning a profit. So I'm not talking to women who are, their husband is the investor and they need to kind of treat him as an investor, make money, give back, like produce, let him know how things are going and things like that. I'm talking to the woman who has a great relationship and love relationship with her husband or with her partner. And there's this little persnickety issue of the fact that you're a business owner and you love it. It's like become part of who you are. And your husband is very resentful, doesn't understand it, or just isn't that supportive. And so for as many women who are watching this live and or will be watching it later, whose husbands aren't super pumped about business, there's that many reasons that your husband might have to be not super pumped and excited about your business. So one of them, Leanne from Canada just mentioned, is that he's not a risk taker. Now, that's my husband, right? He's just not a risk taker. In fact, when I first began my business, he was okay with it because I was making money, I'd replaced my income, and I didn't have to put our kids in childcare. But his assumption was always, and it wasn't just an assumption, I kind of thought that too, like eventually I'd go get a real job, right? When the kids were in school all day, I'd go get a real job. Well, by then, I was hooked. I was unemployable at that moment, so and the risk taker and the non-risk taker in him it made him feel insecure financially. And also, keep in mind that you and I, we are surrounded by people, even if it's only virtually, who totally get the entrepreneurial thing, who totally get the risk, who totally get the drive, who totally get the adrenaline, we get this, right? And so we're around that all the time. And if our husbands are what I call civilians, right? They're employed full-time somewhere, they're around people who don't get it and who are when they say, oh, my wife's self-employed or my wife does XYZ, they're around people who are like, oh man, that's really scary. And so they might just not get it. They might not be risk takers. They're not around people maybe who are like us. There's other reasons too that they may not be supporting your business. I just want to call them out right now. So one is, it could be a little bit of jealousy, right? We work on our own terms. We get, I work from home largely. I love my work. I set my own hours. There could be some jealousy or resentment there. There could be too little money coming into the business, and that therefore the business is representing a financial burden to your husband. It could be demanding too much time of yours or too much of your attention, and so there's something there. Another thing that has come up a lot for Women Who Wow is that your business is making too much money, right? And that's a whole other thing for marriage, for some marriages. My husband was raised by a single mother, and so he truly applauds how much money I make. He certainly doesn't care that I make more money than him, but a lot of men do. And so it could be that your business provides too little structure with your schedule or with your home schedule, etc., or the business could kind of be too disruptive to the home or the relationship. And so I'm not saying any of these things are justifiable reasons for him not to be supportive. I'm just kind of laying them out there because you might recognize your husband in one of those situations. And I'm getting ready to go into 4 different ways that we can help do our part to protect both the business and the marriage, right? I'll be very, very honest. I can't imagine it ever coming down to this. Certainly even in the days that my husband wasn't supportive, it never did. But, if I had to choose between my business that I love, beyond anything I ever thought possible, that's awesome, Kathy. I'm glad that your spouse has always been supportive. But if I ever had to choose between my business and my Mister, it wouldn't even be a second glance. I mean, I would certainly choose my Mister. Obviously it wouldn't come down to that, but here's 4 things that if your husband is not supportive, here are some 4 steps that are completely under your control that you can do to help him better understand what's going on in your business, and also, just kind of meld your heart with his regarding the business. So the first thing that you want to do is treat your business like a business, right? the first thing for that is you do want to make money, right? When you are perpetually losing money in business, your husband's not going to get that. You shouldn't even get that, right? So you want to treat it like a business. You want to expect a profit. You want to create a profit. Also, when we're talking about treating it like a business, you want to have open hours and closed hours, like every other business that you frequent, right? If you are running a business and your spouse is resenting it, you want to make sure that you have proper boundaries around the business, not just for your marriage's sake, certainly not for his sake, but for your sake, right? And for the business's sake. So treat it like a business, make money, demand that the activities that you're doing are producing a profit, right? Have open and closed hours. And here's the thing that I almost didn't put in this training, but I think it might resonate with a lot of people. Be unapologetic both ways, right? When in the early days of my business, when my husband was, kind of thinking maybe it was a bad idea or whatever, and keep in mind, I always replaced my income, my full-time income. And so it wasn't a financial burden, but the money came in fits and starts and things like that. So it was a little bit less secure for him. But, I was apologetic all the time, right? I feel like I almost empowered his resentment of my business by, apologizing when I had to work, or apologizing when I had to get a sitter, or not apologizing to him, but acting apologetic. I'm not sure how to put that, but like feeling like I was doing a bad thing, or that I wasn't, whatever. And so, when the first step is treating your business like a business. And that means unapologetic both ways, which means you've got your open and close hours. When it's close hours, you're not going to posture yourself in a way with your market. Like, oh, I'm so sorry, I've got to take off for like dinner, you're not going to do that. And at the same time, when you tell your mister you got to, leave for work, you're not like, oh man, I really hate that I have to leave for work, right? Be unapologetic. You do not want to empower a resentment towards your business, and likewise, you don't want to empower a resentment from your business or from your clients towards your family. So open and close hours, make money, and be unapologetic both ways. The second thing you can do for remedying the situation that's completely under your control, if your husband is not supportive of your business, is to be realistic with him. I wrote a blog post. I'll share it in the comments below when I get done with the live stream. But I wrote a blog post a while back about how I absolutely turned my mister against my business in those early days. And I had no intention of doing that, but I had this idea. It was early on in the days of the internet, and I was going to have this mom's club online, and it was going to be for women like me who were like working from home and had kids and all this stuff. And so I did the numbers in my head, right? And I was like, okay, there's like X number of millions of moms that are just getting on this new online thing, and if I just get like 0.5% of them paying me like $19 a month, then I'll be making $45,000 a month or something. And keep in mind, like, I didn't even have a website back then, and so, but I wanted to create one. Gosh, my nose always itches when I do these live streams. I'm not sure what that's about. But when I was doing this, I was bartering for this website that actually never took off. It was like a membership site, and that was very, very new back then. I mean, even the internet was new, and so I was like gonna do this, and I told my husband, listen, like, here's the deal. And I showed him the numbers, like, this can be like $45,000 a month. And, keep in mind, like, he was making $45,000 a year. And so this was like huge. And he believed me. And I believed me too, right? But it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking in those final, when the money never came. And so, the second thing is to be realistic with your husband. And while I certainly felt like I was being realistic, and I look back at the, naive Michelle back then, it's something that I've made a point to do ever since, is to just be realistic about my projected earnings and how much time it was going to take, etc. So the first thing, if you're just joining in, is, I said at the very beginning of this is not for women who are married to husbands who are abusive, who are verbally or even emotionally abusive, who aren't supportive in anything. It's sort of like isolated, like they're great husbands and they're great men, but they don't quite understand the whole business thing. It's also not for women who are taking money from their husbands every month, funding their business and not producing money. Like, that's not for you, right? You need to produce money or stop taking his. He's an investor and he needs to be treated as such. But I'm talking about for all of the rest of us who are, making money in our business. It's not husband funded, and yet our husbands are still kind of not like with it. They're not really supporting us the way we wanted to, and so we want them to. So the first thing is to treat it like a business. The second thing is to be realistic. The third thing, and I think this is so important, is to have open discussions with your husband about your business, even though right now he is not acting supportive the way he should, right? Even though he's not doing that. Your business, if you're within Women Who Wow, you're at PlanetWOW.club, like, your business is part of who you are, right? It's part of you. This is like, it'd be very hard to separate me from my entrepreneurial, like, spirit. I don't know. It's like separating, I don't know, bone marrow from bone. Your business is not some dirty little secret, right? And I encourage you, even when your husband might be acting like a jerk about your business, to still have open discussions about it with him, because it's part of who you are, and because it will help you guys grow closer, and it might help him understand a little bit more about your business. One of the mistakes that I made earlier in my marriage, and also, of course, earlier in my business, is not having these open discussions because they weren't easy, because he didn't understand it. And the truth is, and when I was earlier in my business, I didn't understand it much either. But one of the things that changed my business and my marriage is this book, and it's the No BS Business Success book. And I've had it forever. You can see it's all like, dog-eared and stuff. But I just kind of left it around the house, and it really changed things. Not just because it's a great book, but because my husband picked it up and read it. And there's a chapter in there about, like, just who we entrepreneurs are. And what he said is, he came in there, I was in the bathtub, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I was reading this book. It's like, that's who you are. That is who you are. And I just completely support you. And that was it was a huge changing moment. But part of what led to that wasn't just the book, it was open discussions. Prior to that time, I did treat my business like a dirty little secret. I did work when everybody else was sleeping. I didn't want to inconvenience my family for this business of mine. And I was, like I said in the second thing, which is I was apologetic all the time about the fact that I worked, and it was just, it was the wrong way. It was just the wrong thing to do. So Webley asked which book, and it's No BS Business Success by Dan Kennedy, right? Absolutely amazing. So anyway, have these open discussions, talk about your business. Even if he responds in a way that isn't, how you would prefer him respond, have those conversations with him. Let him know, show him that piece of your soul, because it's part of who you are. And ideally, he will become more and more comfortable with this entrepreneurship, and he'll grow to not only just, be better about it or supportive, but to actually embrace it with you. So that's the third thing. Have open discussions with your husband about your business. Be realistic in them, but have open discussions. And the fourth thing is, don't depend, like in any other area of marriage, don't depend on your husband to be like your number one cheerleader and your mastermind and your coach and your sounding board. Get outside support. Those of you who are within Women Who Wow, like, you have that in spades. That, like, we're loyal, we're available, we are supporting and cheering on each other, and we get it. Like, we get the challenges of being a seriously driven women entrepreneur. We get that. And so, but you do want to get, even if you're not officially part of Women Who Wow, like, you do want to get some outside support. You want to get people who get you, and you don't want to rely just on your husband for that. So that was something else that, while the years that I wasn't exactly applauded at home for my entrepreneurial pursuits, I did have that understanding outside of the home, where I could go and I could realize, like, I wasn't alone, and there are other women like me, and they're facing similar challenges and stuff like that. So anyway, just kind of in summary, because we're getting more people on at the end, but you want to treat your business like a business. That means open and closed hours, making money, right? Your husband will not understand if you're putting in all this time, and he might be putting in all this money, or you're putting in all this money and it's not making money. He's not going to understand. And be unapologetic about treating it like a business. Like, be unapologetic to your market when you are offline and being with your family, and be unapologetic to your husband as well, like when you're going to work. And I always kind of I didn't actually apologize. I had an apologetic posture, I guess would be a better way to put it. Be realistic when you're speaking with your spouse about what you expect to make, what you expect to do, how much time it should take. Have open discussions about them, even if he's not exactly supportive and excited. Share your excitement with him. Let him see it, right? One of the things, the reason that this book changed things is when he read it, because of these open discussions I had, he saw my heart, my soul, in this business book. And he realized that he didn't want any part of me to die away, which is what would happen if I ever got like a job. But so have these open discussions, even when they're not like the most fun discussions. Share your heart with your husband. And then the fourth one is to get outside support. Make sure that you're cultivating relationships with other women entrepreneurs who do get it, right? Who get what it means to wake up pumped and excited about business, who get what it means to not be able to go to sleep because you had some great idea that you've got to act on right now, and who get the burden, I guess, of constantly, wanting to do more and serve more and make more and reach more. And so anyways, I hope this helps people. I would really love your comments below if it did help you, or if there's something that you are going to take from it. And anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I will be back on Sunday. You'll have another weekly hustle video in the Women Who Wow membership. And so this is designed to keep us on track and hustling each and every week, and also to keep us a little bit united in spirit. So if you're taking action on our weekly hustles, then use the hashtag weekly hustle in our Facebook group so that I can follow along with that. Any questions you have for me, I'm always in the Facebook group. If you are not part of Women Who Wow, you be watching this as a replay, but come on over and introduce yourself at PlanetWOW.club. Join us at WomenWhoWow.com. And we also have a phenomenal TV channel at WomenWhoWow.tv. You can go there and binge watch right now. But I'll talk with you guys all soon. Thanks. And for the people in the Southeast, enjoy your snow days coming. I am super pumped about them. My husband's a school teacher, and one kid's already home. She's playing hooky today, and the other kids will come home early, like maybe in 30 minutes, and we are really excited about the snow. Talk with you guys soon. Bye.